tired. Even thinking about interview, it's like, oh. Hey, okay, 1 second. Okay, I'm ready. Wait, don't laugh. Or maybe we just turn off video then. Right, because not like okay, let's pretend to be and just turn off video, okay, and not laughing. Okay, I'm ready. Hi, good morning. Oh yeah, I'm Tasni speaking. How are you doing today? I'm doing great. I'm waiting for you to call me today. I'm so excited. Okay, yeah, as you know me, I'm Tassani. I have over 4 year experience as a software engineer. My most recent position, I work for Megatron as a full stack software engineer, where I build internal tool, which is using React with TypeScript on the front end, and on back end we use Ruby on Rails and Postgres SQL with relational data. And where I work, my main projects I work is called tenant manager application, which is to help IT and developer manage a project configuration for the next platform, which is a next platform is a local domain products for the company, which we use to manage radio digital advertising. So what I do, I improve internal tool to automate project setup and ensure data consistently to help a team deploy and maintain customer environment. And actually, before that, before I worked for Marketrons, I used to work for Rice University in humanity department, where I work at lead the front end developers. Development is called Slave Widgets projects, which again we use on that project. I use React with TypeScript and using Redux for many statements. And this project is used to do like a data visualization application. And on the back end we use Python with my SQL. Actually, what I want to say, like I am passionate about creating user interface. I like to build something which is interact with user and then help user to understand what they do. And I also very excited about a latest mission after I reading through. And I would say, be honest, I'm looking on your company for since because I really passionate to work on healthcare industry. I know healthcare will grow, and I like to make and I see like a latest mission. A latest mission is to improve healthcare outcome through secure and maintainable, and collaborate with technologies help stakeholder to like easy to use the application. So that's me. Do it take too long? um okay. For AWS, I have some parts where I do like dealing with the picture. So I use the AWS like S3. I don't really have much experience with AWS. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah. I do have with when I work with Megatron. So we use AWS, which is to secure when you log in. So we call to we use AWS to check, and we have like SSO, which like more secure. So when we log into our application is next at Marketron. So we use AWS to handle our login by Django. It is that part, and then also we use AWS to deal with like all the images when we want to store. We call S. I use the S3. That's what about the AWS. And you asked me about cloud or another question. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we use AWS with like dealing with like how to log in, but the cloud we don't. My Marketron work, we used Drupal clouds. Maybe you don't really hear that, but we use that to maintain or when we configuration or migration. So we use Drupal clouds, and we have to work with the Drupal cloud team when sometimes like not in our way. So it's like more on the DevOps part. We use Drupal cloud. We don't really use, but I also actually for Google Clouds, I used to work with the company. If you see on my resume, level 11. That's what we used, Google Clouds. Oh yeah, of course. So as I say, I work at my recent role. I work for Marketron. Actually, it's kind of more full stack. But because before I work with Rice University, I work with more on the front end experience, right? So when I have to jump to the full stack, it's easy to me too because I mean I and actually, if you work, not only you call yourself at the front end, you also have to know on the back end side too. So my back end on Marketron, I use Ruby on Rails, which is really fun though because it's kind of like new language for me, and I familiar that because it's kind of like because I used to use Python before. When I use Ruby on Rails, it's kind of like the same, not really totally different. And then on the back end, when I do, I have to understand the database, how to configure it, and how to automate. And then we also have like multiple, how to say, like we don't really have only one application. It's kind of more enterprise, so you need to understand when you want to call to the third party like API. Yeah. Mm. Let me think about that a second. Actually, because since I work like my experience over 4 years, I still remember as I am a junior, right? So we have like a senior who can mentor us, and then as I become a senior, have more experience. So I do have experience with mentoring people as a junior. So, sorry, what your question is like? Oh, okay. So, yeah, I did have to mentor five junior engineer when we try to build an application. Um, yeah. So let me think. Actually, in my position role, I didn't really have much people work with me because more more my experience is more on like a startup company and a small team. But I have always passion about mentoring other software. So I volunteer to mentor people who want to change career from other field to be a software engineer. So I volunteer to be mentoring the junior software engineer how to help them to think how to be a software engineer and need to be a good software engineer. So I help them to create the projects, guide them how they can build, what is strong point and weak point. Also help them to do and mock interview. So I share my experience from my job, and then I just teach them how a life of software engineer at day-to-day life. With it help them to see it kind of a picture, like a real picture when you become a software engineer, what you can have to see, to do, so it's the outcome of that. I feel like because I always wanting to have like a senior to help me, but my most of the job when I work, I don't really have a senior to guide me when I work. Yeah. The projects, right? I would say I have multiple projects where I'm proud of every project where I work, but the most proud of, I would say, is Slave Wages project where I work with Rice University, because that where I have to lead all the projects, and we don't have a UX design or other team, and the project is handled with a big data, which is what built like 50 years ago, and then how we can uh, make it easier for user to see. And because they hire me as a contract role, like fixed term contract for 1 year, so I need to finish it in 1 year, right? So, and they don't really have anything to provide me at that time. I need to think about what stack I should use, where I have to decide how to deal with data, which is all new for me on that point. And then at the end, the project was success and people happy, and what I learned from this project's slave voyages is like you're dealing with like emotion, because of the slave, like where you transfer is over, like before, how you can handle like a emotional data to user. That's what I think, like it's not only how you just build, so that's why I feel like I passionate about user friendly, so I like to work on the front end, so that's why I can, it's not only just build things, it's a more how you also share your human feelings to the user interface. Miss the deadline, of course. One second, let me think a little bit. One the time I have that. I think actually I gonna talk about the slave wages projects again, which is with Marketron. I didn't really have like a deadline problems because I can like plan and then do ahead, right? But with slave projects, at the point when we want to deploy, we call like a soft deploys, and then we have some feature we need to finish, which called contribute, which is all new for me. It contribute feature is like more dealing with on the back end, like you need to be like an admin to around to see. And then on that time, I just like I work with guys who already work on this project before, but we do redesign, right? And then when I try to understand the feature, I just don't really understand the feature, how they don't really have data or information for me. So what I do, we have deadline. We need to deploy by the end of February, right? And then we lack of communication because we both work at a remote, and then the time is different. So what I do, I I try. I mean, I reach out to the guys and set up and clear the picture of the new feature is called contribute beforehand. And we know we're gonna deploy by the end of February, and then we have about 1 week before, and then I see that's gonna not be on time, so I reach out to him and then we set up a meetup, and then we just walk through or each feature what we can deploy and then what we can finish by the end of February. And then that's the time what I do. And then actually at the time we deploy, we can deploy some part of the new feature but not all. But because we plan ahead and reach out to customer like stakeholder, so they agree to accept what we can deploy, and we have a few parts we not really finished, and then we can finish after that, like a 1 week after. So what I learned from this situation, I think the communication, and that's what really important, and you need to understand like the deadline or the timeline, and maybe you can find a solution where you can like delivery and not affect to the all the part, which is at the end customer quite happy, and then the later we can finish that 1 week after, so they happy on that time. Okay, I think what I'm gonna ask is like about the process of the next interview, or how long I gonna hear back. Oh, okay, that's cool. And that's it, my question. Okay. I'm not really. Let me just recap myself about that. I mean, the factor myself. I think I didn't really answer well because I didn't prepare. Actually, when I think about, when you ask me about what the time, blah blah blah, right? I just like, I, I mean, I think I have a lot of like story to talk, but I kind of not really know how to talk. Like what come first. So it's kind of jumping around. Yeah, it's need to practice. Mm, mm. Yeah, I'm really like now it's just like so sad. Like you know what? Since I work for Marketron, I save like a stand up. So I write it every day since I work with them, and then I forget to save and send to myself, and then they was in the Marketron email. I'm just like, oh no, I need to think about what I'm do there. I did a lot. I mean, but I just like I didn't bring the all the script. I write it down for me. I just make it because I want to remember. I do. Yeah, I do update, but like the more than that. Mm, yeah. Mm-mm. Yes, yes, that's what I said. What is I use? I use that at Marketron. It's like we used to use that when we want to log in, right? Always have a problem. Like the Django something, I cannot remember, so I need to write down. And S3, that's what we always use, AWS. Yeah, A3, and another one like we use to like when we want to log in, use AWS to log in. Yeah. I never have, that's the thing, like what I can talk about. I never have like a team who I work with, you know. That is like a, that is when I'm mentoring on the boot camp. Yes. Okay. That's why like, yeah. So how I can say like, I think about, I gonna say, I remember when I mock with formation, I said, actually, I don't really have experience at work, but I do volunteer. What can I say that part? Uh-huh. Mm. Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, but not say I don't have experience at work. Okay. What's the outcome? What the project? Okay, yeah. I need to think all about that, you know. Already forget. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. We cannot think. Maybe the recruiter not asked, right? Maybe he know. Oh, okay, yeah. I forget about that. Yeah, yes, yes. That's in my first company. I still remember until now. Yes. Okay. 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 Good. I always use that too. Yeah. Least success project. Oh. I mean, the least success project I still proud of, like slave voyages, but maybe I should talk about tenant manager. This position. Both is related with stack for front end. Okay. What we do project? Oh yeah, actually when I leaded them, I remember now. Uh, uh, yes, I just think about I should get like I mean, so sad. Oh, I forget like bring all my list. Okay. Yeah. I will. I think maybe he will answer me like a slave wages again. Yeah. I think I would say I'm proud of both project with talent manager and slave wages is very also slave wages is more dealing with data handling like visualize data. Maybe is that what they want to for this company. Okay, yes, good. I need to like write it down. Practice. Oh yeah, what? I don't have. That's why I just like yeah. Do you? I just want to know the process of interview so then I can prepare. If recruiter, that's why I asked. But if like the technical or like with senior, right? I gonna ask them about the team, what the stack they use, yeah, and what the culture. Maybe culture can ask for from recruiter too, right? Mm, mm, mm. Do they gonna lay off soon? Ah. Again. What the financial of the company? Uh, oh, why you hiring this, right? Replace or I don't know. It seemed to be 10,000 doing. I think so. Yeah. I mean, for with recruiter, I might not really ask a lot about technology, but if you know more technology, maybe I can ask them. Oh yeah, how big? Which team I gonna work with? What's that? That's question. Ah, impression. Oh yeah, can you send to me on? It's like so. Then we ask about he work here, how he feel for the company. It's kind of like not really direct question, but we know about their culture. If we ask the question, what's your impression for okay culture? Okay,